Hello there and welcome back to Eternal. My name is Will, and today we're going to be breaking down the new Season 2 trailer for The Bad Batch that was recently released, and also we're going to be talking about the episode titles which were just confirmed. If you want to skip ahead to that moment, that's probably about 8 minutes and 1 second in, I think. About 8 minutes. Anyway, let's get right into this. So we start the trailer off with this scene here, again the sequence of the speedrunning scene. Not really much more we can say about it, other than these crabs have an impervious shell to blaster bolts, as when Omega shoots one of them, the crab just goes down and just says, yeah, no, my shell protects me. There is actually a full-length scene that you may have seen of this sequence at Celebration. Now, we then move on to this scene here where we see, the Bad Batch, hiding from this patrol of gunships. We don't know where this is, but I'm going to say it's a separatist world because I think that the Republic have been cracking down. We know the Empire cracked down on, separatist worlds after the war ended, so I think it's about that. I think they've cracked down on this planet, and I think the Bad Batch are there to maybe extract someone or extract something, but we really don't know. We then move on to the scene here. We're in Sid's office. We have, Fee Genoa. She's got her feet up on Sid's desk. Maybe she's taking over Sid's operation. Maybe she's replacing Sid. We really don't know. There's really not much we can say about this scene. And to be fair, the whole trailer, we are just guessing a lot of things. We're just having to really go from what we have. It's difficult. Anyway, we move on to this scene here where we have Rampart arriving on a new planet and he's being escorted by the new Phase 1 Stormtroopers, I guess. I guess we can call them Phase 1 Stormtroopers. I don't know. Kind of sounds like the clones. Anyway, we move on to this scene where we have this massive beast emerging from possibly a small battle or just emerging from, some factory. We don't know. Now, I think this beast actually relates to the Zillo beast. The reason for that is we know at the end of, Season 2, I don't know if it was, we know in Season 2 of the Clone Wars. We know it was in Season 2 of the Clone Wars. We know in Season 2 of the Clone Wars, Palpatine wanted to clone the Zillo Beast. And I think this is the result of that. We know that in Season 1 and also in Mando Season 2, cloning has been quite, an emphasis in these recent shows. Because they want to make sure that Rise of Skywalker makes sense because they didn't do a very good job of doing that in the film. So I think this relates to that. It's either due to cloning and the failed or, the result of that cloning process of the Zillo Beast, or it's just some really cool epic beast. We really just don't know. Now, the reason why I've included this scene is because I want to talk about one thing. We see Rex, and if you were at Star Wars Celebration, you know that something happens on Avenata, that the Bad Batch and Rex get involved with the likes of Crosshair and Cody on Avenata. So, this scene hints to that. Obviously, if you were at Celebration, you would have seen another different trailer. If you weren't, then you can probably find it on the internet. I'm sure someone has uploaded it. Anyway, moving on to this scene here, really just looks like Avenata being, repaired, or maybe an acclimator being repaired, or it could be the start of a Zeisen Star Destroyer. We don't know. It could be the Empire moving forward with their weapons. I think somewhere in Mount Tantis, because we've also seen Scorch on this planet as well. We then move on to this scene here, which is so big. I love this scene. This is set on Coruscant. We know because if you were at Star Wars Celebration, you would have seen a trailer which showed a lot more of this scene, and they are on Coruscant. It's Cody and Crosshair talking, and I believe they're standing in front of a wall which talks about fallen clones. I think that's got the names of every clone that has died in the Clone Wars. We know it's on Coruscant, and in this scene, we have Cody and Crosshair talking about how clones have been, losing the effects of Order 66, and some have been, leaving due to that. Crosshair just says they're traitors, and I think Cody is, having this internal struggle of, is the Empire good? We know that in the, Celebration trailer, Cody talks about that. The Empire is supposed to be good, is it? So I think it's really important. I think it's going to be a really central theme in this series. We then move on to this scene here with a bridge, an explosion on the bridge. We know that Crosshair in the trailer shoots, might not be at the bridge. We also see from other trailers, Crosshair and Cody emerging from a kind of explosion from a bridge, so maybe that. We then move on to this scene here with on Kashyyyk. We have these Trandoshans, it's Trandoshans on Kashyyyk, probably trying to attack the Wookiees. More importantly though, they have AATs. Why is this important? Well, we know that the droids would just shut off, meaning their equipment and weapons are just lying there for anyone to take. Meaning these Trandoshans have just taken them to use them. And seeing as the Trandoshans and Wookiees are natural enemies, they're using them. We then move on to this scene here with Gunji. There's not much to talk about from this scene other than he looks cool, great to see him back, I love his lightsaber, and I also love the arc from the Clone Wars, so it's absolutely brilliant to see him back in the Bad Batch. Anyway, next up we have this race scene. I think it's when Tech is racing on that planet. We're not really sure. It's either that race or it's on Coruscant. As you can see, there is Aura Rash, but it is really just advertising, so it isn't really that important. But I think it's that race scene, or it's just on Coruscant. Not really sure. Next, we're moving on to this scene here where we see these droids get, caught up in an explosion. I think this is, due due to Cody and, Crosshair retaliating to what happened on the bridge, so maybe they're throwing something back at these droids. Maybe that caused it. And in the larger sequence of the trailer, we see a couple of different scenes. We have this scene here where Cody talks about, no, the Empire's good. Maybe he's standing off against the Bad Batch. Maybe, he's just talking to Cody. Not Cody, sorry, talking to Crosshair. So he also is talking about how, the Empire's good, they're not the enemy. I think that's also him trying to convince himself that the Empire are not his enemy, that the Empire are a good thing and not, people's enemy. This scene probably links to this scene here from the first trailer of the Season 1 of the Bad Batch. I think, I could be wrong, but it looks like possibly it links to that. And I think this entire, area also links to a deeper, scene. Now, we move on to this scene here, again on this kind of planet where the bridge was. We have these people, it looks like they're building some sort of engine. The atmosphere looks, yellow, and we've got this, desert kind of landscape. Maybe do you notice this? I don't know, could be. And then we move on to this scene here, where we have this big fortress. I think that Cody and, Crosshair are actually inside this fortress in that shot where we saw Cody, just standing there by himself, which I just previously showed you. I think it's due to that. I also think that, this is the same place where this is, Rampart's visiting this, these people. I think they're like a separatist, they're separatist loyalists still trying to, maybe use the separatist weapons, hence why they have droids, or they're just, some sort of their own faction. We'll see, as I said, Rampart does talk with them, as we can see, and it looks like the same, setting as I just showed you, like, one scene back. So, yeah. Anyway, we move on to this scene here, again with this reddish atmosphere. Maybe it is, just another desert planet or something like that. We don't know. But we have this droid thing here. Reason why I want to focus on that guy is because then when, when we see Gunji, he takes on these droids here. Maybe it's the same planet. Maybe they're actually inside that fortress, which we saw. We don't know. Anyway, moving on, we see this scene here. I think this is just a Venator over Coruscant, because it looks kind of like that, maybe. Like when we saw in Attack of the Clones, this was the sort of, setting on Coruscant. This was like the skyline, so maybe it's just over Coruscant. We don't know. What we do know is they definitely going back to Coruscant, because we have our man, Palpy. Now, he's in the Imperial Senate, and we know from the first trailer, and also the Star Celebration trailer, behind him is the wreckage of Kamino. I think what Palpatine's doing is he's using all these, attacks that the Bad Batch are using, and kind of saying, oh yeah, this is why we need to get rid of the clones, or this is why we need more people in the Stormtrooper Corps, this is why we need more military. I don't know, but it looks like it's going to be good. Anyway, we then see Bail Organa. We knew he was probably going to show up here, so it's great to see him back, as well as in Tales of Jedi, and I think he's probably recruiting Bad Batch and, starting the early stages of the rebellion. And again, we have this shot of Coruscant here, which looks absolutely incredible. Anyway, moving on to the final scene, which is super important. This is Count Dooku's palace. This is Sereno. They're going back to Dooku's. Why? I don't know, but I want to know. And that's really all I can say about the scene. Anyway, let's move on to the actual episode titles and actually when they're going to be. So we start with, on January 4th, the premiere, we start with Spoils of War and Ruins of War. And I like how they're continuing from, the episode 201, continuing from where Bad Batch Season 1 left off, and also the Clone Wars. I think this is probably that first scene that we saw where they're hiding out from that patrol of gunships. So possibly do that, and it's a 2-episode premiere. Epic. We then move on to January the 11th, the Solitary Clone. Maybe this is something to do with Cody, or it could be to do with Scorch, or if they go back to Kashyyyk, possibly Sev. Maybe he's going to come back. I don't know, I really hope so. We then move on to January 18th, episode 204, Faster. No idea, maybe it's just, that scene where, Tech is racing. Could be to do with that. I think it's probably to do that. I don't know, possibly. Likely to do with that racing. Then, January 25th, we have Entombed. I think it's probably to do with that Venator, or maybe that, planet where it had that reddish atmosphere, something to do with that, but we really have no idea. Then it's episode 206, Tribe, on February 1st. I think this could be to do with rogue clones that have also, the effects of the inhibitorship and Order 66 have worn off. So I think it's to do with that, and, the Bad Batch are uncovering maybe a, set of rogue clones, or Cody and Crosshair are sent to destroy these rogue clones. Then we move on that on episode 207 and episode 208 on February the 8th, a mid-season, sort of mid-season big event. I don't know what I was going to say, but mid-season big event, we'll call it. Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences. I think this is where they're at. Dooku's in Truth and Conspiracy in these 2 episodes. And the reason why I say that is, the Clone Conspiracy, I'm sure you people who are watching have watched the likes of the Fives arc, and also in that arc, one of the episode titles was The Clone Conspiracy. So I think it links to that, and I think this is the Bad Batch uncovering what actually happened and the whole, usage of the clones and Palpatine's plan. So it could make for an epic mid-season, event. Anyway, we then move on to February the 15th, and that has The Crossing. No idea what that's about. Something to do with that. I don't know. Probably will kill. I think it's just a filler. I think the likes of Faster and Entombed are also just fillers. Then we have Retrieval. Probably them retrieving something. Maybe it's them retrieving a person or retrieving, some sort of important cargo. We don't know, but that's on February 22nd. Then we move on to episode 211, Metamorphosis. I think this is an epic name, and I also think this has to do with Cody. I think Cody is going to be changing. I think his view on the Empire is changing, and I think that's going to be hinted throughout the series. With Cody, as he said, Imperials are wearing off, clones are kind of realising and choosing to defect, and I think Cody's going to have this mental struggle where maybe he changes. Either that or something happens with one of the Bad Batch members and they kind of change a bit. I don't know. Something to do with that. Maybe it's Crosshair. I don't know. Then we have The Outpost, possibly a filler episode, but maybe to do with Wayland. Could be, them actually finding the, research named Tantis. Could be to do with that. Could be to do with Wayland. I don't know. Really, we have no idea. Then we have episode 213, Pabu, on March 15th. No idea. All I know is that links to something, I think that's a ferret in Avatar, The Last Airbender, the series. I don't know. But we know that D. Bradley Baker might have been involved with that. Yeah, because he played Appa, sorry. I have not watched the series, I'm just guessing here from my external knowledge. But we have something to do with that. I have no idea what that's going to be about. I think it's going to be something to do with, obviously, last time 213 was to do with the Deveronian and Ruby. So I think it's just a filler. I don't know. Then we have on March 22nd, Tipping Point. I think this is going to be big. I think that's going to be leading into the two-part finale. I think that's also going to be, either the Bad Batch uncovering something really big, Palpatine maybe saying something really big, or Cody changing. I don't know. Then we move on to the Summit and Plan 99 as a two-part finale on the same day. Gonna be brilliant. I think, firstly, the Summit, that's going to link to Wayland. I think that's definitely linking to Wayland and Mount Tantis. 100%, that's got to do with that, and I think cloning. Maybe Retrieval links them, retrieving the Llama suit. We don't know. But Plan 99, I really want to focus on that. Yes, okay, it's called Plan 99 because we have, obviously, Clone Force 99. But Plan 99 in Legends was when a, trooper of some side would immediately switch without questioning. And this did happen in the Battle of Bauu, I think it was, where we have a droid who is actually, Palpatine contacts Dooku and says, use this order on this droid. And this droid, who I cannot remember his name and I cannot remember, is like Copper Troll or something. I don't know. It's something like that. I'm really sorry, I cannot remember it. But he actually changes, that droid changes and wreaks havoc on the Separatist forces. So I think it's got to do with either something like that. Maybe that's why we're seeing droids. And it also could be to do with Cody switching there and then to help in the Bad Batch. And I even think that in this series, Cody is possibly going to be killed by Crosshair. I think Crosshair and Cody may have a standoff with, Bad Batch and Rex getting away. So I think it could be really big. Anyway, guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you are excited for Bad Batch Season 2. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on this trailer and what do you think these titles mean. I'll see you next time, and may the Force be with you always.